Hello everybody, welcome to Trinity Software. In this video, let's see about how to create classes and objects in Python with an example of bank account. So let's start with definition of a class. What is a class? A class contains properties and behavior. Properties are also known as attributes and behavior also known as functions. You can think class as a logical entity. That is, you can consider it as a template or prototype. So here we have created a class called account. This bank account has its own attributes and methods. We'll see what are the attributes of class account. For simplicity purpose, I have just taken two attributes here. Each and every bank account will have an account number and balance. These are the attributes or also called as properties of the class account. Apart from this, it will have functions or methods. With any bank account, you can perform three functions. That is, you can deposit some amount to your bank account, you can withdraw some amount from your bank account, and you can check the balance in your account. So these three functions can be performed. Okay, and we are going to group together these attributes and methods into a class called class account. So it can be seen as a template to create objects. And when we define a class, only the description of the object is created. Memory is not allocated when we just define a class. Let's see how to define a class in Python. So defining a class is easy. Just you have the keyword class and then class name. It should start with the capital letter class account ending with a colon. So right now I am not going to do anything. I am not going to define attributes or methods inside it. So it's going to be an empty class. So I will have a pass statement. Okay, when we have defined the class, memory allocation is not done. Okay, so now we are going to create an object for this class. So what is an object? Object actually exists in this world and it is unique. The values of the attributes are unique for each object. So we are creating an account called account 1. It will have a unique value for the attribute account number and balance. If you create some other account 2, it will have its own unique values. Whenever you create an object of a class, memory allocation is done. This process of creating the object or instance of a class is called instantiation. So a single class can have as many number of instances. All the instances or objects share these attributes and methods or behavior of the class. But the values of those attributes are unique for each object. Okay, now let's see how to create an object for this class. In Python, I am going to create an object, for example account 1 equal to, I am creating the object using this syntax. This is the object name and this is the class name, open parenthesis, close parenthesis will create an object. Okay, now let's print this object name and see what will be printed. As I already said, once an object is created, memory allocation is done. So here account 1 object, the memory location is printed here. The next thing to be known in classes and object is the constructor. What is this constructor? It is for instantiating an object. Instantiation means that you are going to create a new object or instance of a class. So whenever you create a new object or instance of a class, this constructor will be called. Double underscore init, double underscore. This method is called the constructor in Python and this will be always called when an object is created. That is done automatically. And this method allows the class to initialize the attributes of the class. That is the important property of constructor. You can initialize the attributes. For example, if you are passing the account number as an argument, you can initialize the attribute using this statement self.account number equal to that number. In short duration, I will be explaining about self parameter. We have two types of constructors, default constructor and parameterized constructor. Default constructor means that it doesn't accept any arguments, and parameterized constructor is a constructor with parameters. The next important term or parameter in object-oriented programming is that self parameter. We use this self parameter in Python to represent the instance or object of the class. And the first parameter of any function in the class must be the object itself. As already represented, self represents the instance or object of the class, and the first parameter should be the object. So the first parameter of this function will be self. It means that first parameter of the init method will also be self. So whatever the functions we use within the class, all the functions will have the first parameter as self. After that, you can have the rest of the parameters. And self is a parameter in function and it is not a keyword. But we highly recommend that you make use of self to represent this instance of the class to increase the readability of your code. And where do we use this self parameter? To refer to the instance variables. What is the instance variable? The attributes inside the constructor method are called as the instance variables. So in order to refer to those instance variables, we can use dot operator notation along with self. For example, we have two attributes in class account number and balance. In order to refer to the balance, I can just use self dot balance. So that's what is mentioned here. With the self, we can access the attributes of the class in Python. Okay, by knowing this constructor and self parameter now, we can start writing the functions inside the class. I'll just delete this pass. We'll have the init method first. So init self. Okay, the first argument is self, that is the object itself is being passed. Okay, now we can initialize the attributes of the class. There are two attributes we have already seen, account number and balance. So the account number can be passed as an argument here. So that can be passed after self. Use num. Okay, now self dot account number equal to num. That's how we are initializing this account number, and I am also initializing the self dot balance as 0. Now we have created an object for this account class. It has two parameters, self and num. While defining the functions, we need to pass this self argument, but while calling it as automatic, you need not include self when you call the methods. Okay, but our other arguments must be specified. So number must be specified. I am going to create an account number 101, and I can access this now. ACC1 is the object name dot account number. I am just trying to print the object account1 dot account number. Let's see what output we get. We got the corresponding account number. Okay, now we'll concentrate on the three methods of the class account. We have deposit method, withdraw method, and check balance. So I'll write it down now. Deposit. You can either pass the amount to be deposited as an argument here, or you can just do it inside the function. I am just doing it inside the function amount, getting it from the user, how much amount to be deposited. Float of input, enter deposit amount. Okay, you have got the amount now. So the next thing is you have to update that balance. So self dot balance is incremented by amount. Self dot balance equal to self dot balance plus amount. That's it. Now I can just print this amount has been deposited. So you have deposited rupees amount. Okay, that's it for deposit function. Now we can write for withdraw. The first argument will be self. Even here I am just going to pass the amount to be withdrawn. Float of input, enter withdrawal amount. So in this case I have to check a condition. What happens if the balance is less than the amount specified? Usually what people will do is that if the balance is less than the amount, they will just take the balance amount. So that's what we are going to do. We are going to check the condition. If self dot balance, if self dot balance is less than amount, if it is less than the amount, I am just going to store self.balance in amount variable, so that whatever the balance, that will be stored in amount and you can withdraw that amount. Okay, whatever may be the case, now we can just withdraw this self.balance minus equal to amount. That's it. And now we'll have a print statement. You have withdrawn rupees amount. Okay, and the last method is you are just going to check the balance in your account. So we'll have just a print statement stating the balance in your account. Your current balance is rupees, that is self.balance. That's it. Now it's time to create the object. We have already created the object. We have to call the functions deposit, withdraw and check balance. So you can just call it directly as account1 dot deposit. So here you can see deposit, we are not going to pass the argument self. Okay, the calling process is automatic. We need not include self at all when we call the methods. Whereas while defining, here it is mandatory to pass the first argument as self inside the class. So you have called the deposit method, next withdraw, and finally acc1 dot check balance method also. Okay. So the account number is printed, deposit amount 10,000. I'm giving deposit amount as 10,000. You can withdraw 4,000 here. So you have withdrawn rupees 4,000 and the current balance is 6,000. Fine. So this is the way of creating objects for the class. This is simple. Just you should know how the constructor works and what is self parameter. Then it is easy to create a class and objects for the class. Next, how to create multiple objects. It is possible to create any number of objects for a class. How does it happen in Python? Here we have created an object acc1. Now I can just create acc2 equal to account of namely 102. Okay, so the same process, all these things can be done for account 2 also. I'm just going to print account 2 dot account number. Here account 2 dot withdraw and account 2 dot check balance. Now we are going to do the same thing for two objects. So this is for the first object 101. I will enter different number 5,000. Enter withdrawal amount. Let's check the condition. So I am trying to withdraw 7,000, but the balance is just 5,000. In that case, the amount is changed as just 5,000. Whatever the balance you have, that will be withdrawn. So you have withdrawn rupees 5,000 and the current balance is 0. Now you have to enter for account number 102. I am depositing 2,000 and withdrawal amount is, since we have used float, 500.5. So you have withdrawn rupees 500 and the current balance is this one. That's it. Now this is for creating two objects. That works fine. What if you want to create many number of objects, maybe 5 or 10? In that case you can go for list. Just delete all these things. So you can make use of Python list to store the objects. We have account objects equal to an empty list. Now you can create as many number of objects as you need. You are appending the objects to the list. Okay, append method, and you are creating the object now, account with 101. Okay, so this is first object is being created right now. Next object can be appended like this. So this is the second object 102, 103. Okay, so now we can access this by using for loop for I in account objects. Okay, now I can access the attributes as well as the methods. So we'll access the attribute as print account I dot account number. Okay, and then I can call the function I dot deposit and I dot check balance. I didn't call withdrawal method since we have already seen. We are just going to see how this for loop works with deposit and check balance. You can always use withdraw method also. So for account 101, the deposit amount is 5000. Your deposit and current balance is printed. For account 2, you have entered something. This is for account 3. So that's it. You can do this for multiple objects also. So that's it. So these are the basic things for object-oriented programming. In the next video, we can see about inheritance with the same example of bank account. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, kindly share and subscribe.